So you actually bring up a really, really good point there, kind of the general athlete versus the functional powerhouse. We'll just do a popcorn question here. Could you guys talk a little bit about the differences and how those might change depending on the size and stage of a company, kind of what you should look at depending on where you're looking to go?
Not sure exactly how to answer. So
effectively, I guess what I'm asking is, a couple of times we've talked about general athletes, those who can do a little bit of everything well. And then you also tend to look at, should I be able to do one thing very well, forecasting, for example, or biz dev or finance? Could you talk about the trade-offs between those two for the crowd, and then also how that might change depending on the size and stage of a company?
So I very specifically designed my career from, going back to my teenage years around being a general athlete. So I've literally run finance, biz dev, product, sales, every non-engineering function. I founded a recruiting firm, and all sorts of things, literally every function. And I systematically broke down to these sort of atomic skill sets, what I needed to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily until about my junior year of college. And from there, I didn't know exactly which function I wanted to do, so I said, okay, well, I need to build a finance skill. And then once I built that, I sort of completely shifted to the investing sort of product skill set, and then completely shifted again and went into management consulting, and then went back to venture, that moved around between a bunch of different functions, very uncomfortably. And it actually stalled my career each time I did it, but over time built a breadth of skill set that allowed, because you have to be dangerous enough in almost every skill set to be a CEO. Over time, you have to be able to talk to the product team, you have to be able to push on the sales guys, you have to be able to do the sales yourself in the early days, the big biz dev deals, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no one path to success. I mean, there are people who are on our team, for example, that are just world-class experts at some relatively narrow technical function. We have a particle PhD physicist, and that just focuses on modeling talent distributions and heat models, and it's just hyper specialized. And then we have people who are very broad across, and it depends on whether you want to be a leader in a leadership role that has a bunch of functions that supports it, or a best of class athlete that adds a ton of value to a company in a single function. And both of them you can do extremely well in the Valley. I would just say, I think the biggest thing for me was discovering what your strength is and figuring out how to turn that into a superpower. And it may be sort of a generalist. I can do B+ work in almost any function. But collectively that can be very powerful by bringing in people who can do A+ work around you, that you have enough credibility with them that you can lead them. Whereas other people have just been A+, and that's the way that they find success, and they both work.
Yeah, I think, so I grew up in a family business that went from garage to large. I helped start an investment bank after I got pulled at JP Morgan quickly. I was the fifth person. I left when I was 30+. We're about 25 successful. Have all figured out what their cards were, their hand was, and played that and turned that into a superpower. So there aren't a lot of people who are iconic that said, I wanted to be like Mike, and I did exactly what Michael Jordan did. It's a lot of figuring out, who you are. You can talk about the passion stuff, but it's also what are you really good at that other people aren't, and cultivating that as hard as possible.